Welcome, everybody, to Midday Magazine for this Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. Have your host, James J. Maloff here. In part two, we're going to speak with our good friend, Sally Kistner, Executive Director over at Savor the Arts, along with Eric Brittnauger from the Performing Arts Center. We got Larry Pearson joining us. This is a wicked Jimmy Buffett, you guys. So we're going to be talking some Jimmy Buffett and having some fun with that in just a little bit. We've got a really fun conversation we're about to have right now with our good friend, Mayor Matt Zacher. We also want to send a big thank you to our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. Big thank you to them. Be sure to do yourself a favor. Go to YouTube, type into your search bar, Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, subscribe to their page, and keep up to date with all the great work they're doing over there. Matt, how have you been?
Good. How are you guys?
Where we got the wrong mic on here. Sorry about that. I'm used to over here. How you been?
I'm good, thanks. How
Good.
are you?
Doing good. Thanks for asking, and appreciate the time as always. I know one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about is how you're keeping busy, because I know that in the process of when you were working on the election and getting voted into office, one of the things we talked about was you tend to be a busy person. You like to keep busy, and you've got a brand new job that you haven't done before. And I know how you wanted to attack this right away, hit the ground running. How is that going for you?
I would say it's going very well. It's been probably going on 2.5, 3 months at this point. I would say at this point, a lot of the meet and greets are kind of slowing down a bit. I still want to reach out to the outlying the communities around here and get in touch with the leaders from those communities and see how we can start doing some, bridge building, communication, see where the overlaps are that we can work on together. So I think that's coming together well. I've reached out to all the departments at this point in time. I spent an entire week at the fire department trying to get to know the ins and outs of that organization, that department. Great people, great chief, doing great things for their community, keeping us all safe. So that's been very good. Now it's kind of time, half a year into it, to open up the conversation about the budgets and see where that's going, just so I can get an understanding of the operations on a more in-depth level than I was able to in the past. So that's where I'll be looking to now. But yeah, it's been a pretty fast and furious time, and I've enjoyed it, though. It's been great. I'm
looking forward to talking more budget with you a little bit later, especially with your history with being on the finance committee and some of that. So that'll be an interesting conversation. Looking forward to it. I have to ask a really hard-hitting question, though. How are you feeling about your ribbon cutting? I mean, are you getting better at that? The big scissors you wear? I don't know. It seems like it'd take a little work.
Yeah, I've been able to get to one so far.
You haven't done one so far?
There's been some further out, and I would like to get to more of them, even if they're not in Wisconsin Rapids. I realize I'm the mayor of Wisconsin Rapids, but I do believe it's important to show support for every business that opens and everybody that's trying to help our community, keep people employed and build up the economy. So whatever I can do to help in that sense, if it's just being a show of support, that's what I'm going to do.
Want to talk a little 4th of July with you. We, of course, got that right around the corner. It'll be here before we know it. You recently had a press release about 4th of July here in Wisconsin Rapids. What can you tell us about what was in that release?
Well, everything's going well. It's kind of a boilerplate, like getting everybody on board. I know we're working hard. The police chief and fire chief are working hard on just keeping everybody safe, and taking the necessary precautions. So that's important. The day of, we have Entertainment Engines doing the music starting at 6:00, and then we also have our current Miss Wisconsin Rapids teen, Addison Morin, doing the national anthem. So that's going to be fun and exciting. So it's great. I look forward to it, as always.
When it comes to the celebrating, we do a pretty darn good around here, and the 4th is one of those ones that we enjoy, have a great time, and I know for a lot of people, you end up seeing people that you don't always get to run into, and you happen to on the 4th. Also want to remind everybody, as far as celebrations and things go, we have Cranberry Blossom Festival going on this weekend. It's going to be a great time, and if you're not in the city, come on down, check out Rapids, and see not only some of the great things we got going on here, but some of the great things a part of that festival. You'll be hearing about that on our stations and our shows. We'll be talking quite a bit about it.
Yeah, so I just want to say, 20 years in here with the community, we've been going there every year with the kids, and it's just been great to go to the movies. I'm going to do something with Boys and Girls Club, doing some, they're doing chalk art.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there and hang out with them for a little while, and doing the Juneberry breakfast. I'll be serving there, so helping out there. So that'll be a good weekend.
Yeah,
as always.
I'm wondering about construction, get an update on that. I've seen Kyle does an amazing job getting that information out there, so we're up to date before we're hitting the roads and everything. How have things been as far as time-wise? Are things pretty on the timeline as far as construction for that going?
Yeah, I think for the most part, because of the mild winter, we were able to get a head start on some of those, especially Lincoln was a huge undertaking. Yeah. And then the guys on the streets department and engineering, they all did a great job getting blacktop down so that the rafters could open up when they were supposed to and be able to utilize the parking lot. Otherwise, it would have been a little chaotic. I think we would have made it work either way, but it's been real good. And to get those bike paths set up, like widening it up a little bit, it's going to be great. And that road certainly needed it. And I went around with public works superintendent and, met some more of the people that are out there doing the work for us. And the amount of work that they get in a season just to keep the old roads going and redoing the new roads and the infrastructure, like those projects are just amazing. And what they do between WWLC and the wastewater treatment center and the streets department, the coordination and, the communication is just great, and they all do a great job.
The logistics that go into something like that and the way that they pull it off summer after summer is a tip of the hat to them and the way they do that.
Yeah, I know people like to complain about the streets. I think for the most part, every community does the same thing, and it's a battle that we're always going to face. It's 150 miles of streets, and it costs about $2 million a mile roughly, and it's not an easy thing to get them redone. So the fact that we can nobody likes the chip seal. Nobody likes that, but at the same time, they really do create the longevity we need to make them functional while we're waiting to get to them. So,
and we're talking about some of our hardest working people in our community out there on these roads doing this, but we only have so many. Those kind of things that you touch on there can free them up to work on bigger projects or other projects while that's done, and we'll come back to that, and maybe or what have you. If you're in a construction, I grew up in a construction family, and a lot of this is scheduling. A lot of this is being able to what do we have time for, and what do we really need to hit on, what is time sensitive, and certainly, and then there's budget ends of things where we only have so much it can do with this, and there's the state part of that, and then there's the city part of it, and a lot of factors to go into this.
Yeah, Paul Vollert and Joe Ekstead have done a real great job on just having a plan, and we lay it out every year in terms of what roads are there, and they pretty much mapped out the whole city now. So it's much more organized, coordinated, and efficient and cost effective to do what they're doing now versus, as he would say, it was more of a what road needs it the most. Now they're able to kind of have a plan and do the most amount of road for the least amount of money each time they're doing it. So yeah, they're doing a great job trying to keep us in line financially and keep the cars from bumping too much going down the road.
You said recently you spent some time with our Wisconsin Rapids Fire Department. That we've heard in the news. I know that Melissa has touched on this subject a bit too, about the amount of calls that they have gotten in this recent, not just this year, but in recent years, and how that has expanded. They have been stretched a bit when it comes to the amount of calls they're getting. Some are getting like 3 calls in 15 minutes in some of these things. So certainly it comes up. The obvious question that comes up from this is, well, do we need more people? Do we need more invested into our fire department or any of these services? Mm-hmm. And when that comes to that, you're in an interesting position with this, certainly, obviously, as our mayor, but your past history with financing and understanding of some of those things. I feel like that really benefits not only you, but our community when it comes to this subject. Yeah. So when you're getting the feedback about this, how have you responded? What are some of the key notes to you about this subject?
Yeah, probably the first of all, spending that week with the fire department, I met as many men and women as I could, and phenomenal people. And the job that they do is, I can't even really describe, what they do on a day-to-day basis and how much professionalism and strength as human beings it takes to do that job every day. And the chief, Eckes, and all the folks that are, under that command structure just do a great job leading that team. And they share it a lot with me. And I understand that we have to address this situation. And I don't want to go into too much detail because it's big, I guess is the best way to put it. And it's not necessarily an easy answer to anything. Right now, the question is, can we send it to referendum and bring on 9 more people or 6 or 3, somewhere in there in terms of how we want to fund that. Because if the people decide on it, then that's where it ends up. And then it's kind of off my plate. But right now, I feel like for me to be with Chief Eckes and on the same page with him, I need to be able to do as much research as I can in terms of what is the best solution. Because what we're facing right now, for the most part, is that 911, the EMS service in the ER has become our new norm for our normal healthcare system. Where we used to go see a doctor, most of the elderly right now, and I won't say most because I don't know that for a fact, but a lot of them are calling the 911 to get an ambulance to take them to the hospital for whatever reason it may be, even if it's not an emergency. The downside is, the downside is we have very highly trained firefighters and paramedics to the highest level of training, and they do amazing things in the back of those rigs. I mean, it's like an operating room back there, and they know how to use it, and that is amazing. And so we're asking these folks to do that, and I don't have an exact number for it, but I'm going to say, somewhere in that 40% of those calls. So if it's 5,000 calls, somewhere 2,600 are emergencies, whereas the other 40% are something else. But then you run the risk, say you can set up another service where you're servicing those people. If this is the new norm for the next 20, 40 years, who knows what's to come down the road. If that's the new norm, then is there a different kind of program that we can start up instead of hiring and training these folks to the highest level of firemen and paramedic levels? Could we do more of a basic life-saving services type situation? And those are the questions that have to be answered. And how do we figure out, which calls are the highest importance and which aren't? And there's systems in place for some of that. The scary part about it is, let's say you have an emergency, or somebody calls in and you say you go through your system and they say it's not an emergency. But then that person ends up, should have been an emergency or whatever happened between now and then, and you don't get somebody there on time, and they may pass away. And then you run the risk of saying, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and then who do you blame? Because that's what people like to do, or wouldn't they? And if that's the case, then is there a different way to look at this than just the highest level of people trained to do that? And a lot of times I see a lot of those folks, it takes a big toll on them when they're trained to handle the most important stuff, to be handling a lot of the stuff that just kind of wears them down. So
it's this very similar story to when I'm talking with Sheriff Becker. And we're talking about a lot of the things what the things they signed up for, and then the things that have been added onto their plate in recent years or what have you, that they were not necessarily trained to handle, to do. But hey, this is on your plate now. I think everybody has worked a job or are currently working a job where you were hired to do this, and oh, by the way, you're also going to be doing this and this and this. Like, we're kind of used to that in the workforce and everything. But on a different level, when we're talking about these other fields, that is a whole different ballgame to add these things on top of them. And so really what the true core issue here is so much bigger than us. It is so much bigger than something that we can, hey, Mayor Zacher, could you work on that whole universal health care thing? That'd really help out a lot. You just get on that anytime you get, that's out of our hands here. So what we can do locally is attacking the situation smartly with patience, with intelligence, and that's what it sounds like you and many of our locals are doing right now. I know that so much people, well, here's the problem, fix it, and they want it done right now and everything. But oftentimes when you do see that, you're just putting a Band-Aid on something, and the problem comes back. What you guys are trying to do, and what we're trying to do as a community, I shouldn't say you guys, we're all trying to do this together, is find real solutions that are good going forward in this new, like, as you touched on, new era, new thing we're living in.
Yeah, I do want to stress Chief Eckes, again, is nothing but professional, and there's just a learning curve to getting to know each other. And we're doing a good job just sitting down, making sure, if there's a miscommunication or a lack of communication, that we're trying to get on the same page and figure that out, so that we as a community are moving forward together. And I think that's so important, just because that's what we're fighting for right now, is saying, hey, even when it comes to the economy of Wisconsin Rapids, we need to be looking to each other to move forward together and support each other, and that's what we need, and that's what we're working hard to do. So I appreciate everything that Chief Eckes is doing.
Speaking with Mayor Matt Zacher right now, and a big thank you to our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media being in with us. And you teed me up perfectly there, sir, because I did want to talk about the economy and talk about this area and how, for one, I got a lot of friends and a lot of people that live in rural communities, and so many of them talk about this business going out or this business leaving or anything. And I think of our area, and we have some of these things that have happened or what have you, but we have so many different things in this area that so many don't have. We have a local baseball and hockey team. We've got the Performing Arts Center. We have the water park. We have so many different things that we're able to attract and able to highlight as pluses in this area. As somebody who's not in this and doesn't do this kind of work, to me, right out the gate, it seems like, well, okay, at least I got a starting block here. I got something to build on. For you, and this idea that is being brought to the city as far as the downtown and getting involvement from people and this downtown master plan, I want to talk about that a little bit with you. We want to update the downtown, and we want to bring new businesses in. Doing these things, these are all connected. How do you connect them?
It's not easy. It's a lot of, I would say, since I got started, my biggest wake-up call was just how many moving parts there are to the city, and it's not just within the governmental organization, but within the community and how so many things are playing together. The downtown master plan is, again, I know it's going to be controversial because it's been done in the past, and I certainly have mixed emotions or feelings about how that plays out, and you put that amount of money into a plan. And in reality, and I've been very open with everybody about this, you have 100% of my support. But what I'm going to focus on is when the plan is done, is making those visions or ideas as much as possible come to a reality. Otherwise, if it's just a plan that sits on a shelf. So two things that I'm working on. One is when it does come together, let's do what we need to do to get the money, the contractors that are actually going to put the money, developers, into making those projects a reality. And if we can do that, then the plan was a success and it's a win. And most contractors or developers won't even touch a place if it doesn't have an up-to-date master plan. So in that sense, then I'm talking with Kyle Kearns at the Community Development Center or department and asking for a way to update these plans every year so that you don't have to redo them after 10 years. You've just updated them. And with the current technology, we're working on a plan to be able to do that so that it comes together. Keep looking at the mill. The mill's going to be, we've talked about this before, it's not going to be one business anymore. Right now, there's 3 businesses that have bought into that mill. That's Billerud, Sunoco, and Nine Dragons have all bought parts of the mill. And the biggest outlier right now is going to be the 16 machine and the 16 mill. I don't have any updates on those right now, but that building is just going to be big, and it's going to be a place for a lot of machinery to be plugged into, a lot of cheap power or inexpensive power. And so that's what we have to look forward to is helping that happen, because a lot of the other stuff has already been bought up. And the nice thing about that is we have diversity now. We're not stuck with one company going south. And if you think about Billerud's got 150 employees, Sunoco's got another 150, Nine Dragons is at around 250. Those aren't exact numbers, but they're, it's in that area, and they're looking to grow. And we have other opportunities happening, and it's going to take time, though. I know I'm going to stay positive, and I'm going to keep moving the things forward as much as I can, but there's going to be letdowns. There's going to be, taking a few steps back and moving forward again, and just got to keep things moving and make the best of the downtown area. It's going to be beautiful.
And this is something that we want the community involvement on. We want to hear feedback from the people about what they're looking for, the ideas they have. If people do have information or they do have things that they want to share, encourage you to reach out to our friends, Kyle and everybody over there. You can find out more at wirapids.org and reach out to his staff that way through the city's website, and encourage you to do so, because oftentimes some of the greatest ideas come from the these. You, Kyle, we've got some great minds and some very really creative people in these positions. But as you and I both know, sometimes the best stuff comes from a listener or comes from somebody just out there that just had an idea, just had a thought.
So on that note, thank you for that lead in. Our position right now, and again, I'm multifaceted in the sense that, I understand real estate and business and all that stuff. And the nice thing is, in getting to know Kyle Kearns, is he also has a good understanding of how this all works. But the government does not create anything. Like we don't create the jobs. We kind of, this is why people get frustrated, is we kind of have the unfun job of setting the rules about how things have to go in order to keep everybody safe and move forward and make it fair for everybody. So what I'm saying is, you can have ideas all you want, but more importantly, you have to be able to talk to people and put together the plan that you want to see and find the funding for it and talk to the people and start that business on your own. This is the residents. This is the people, the citizens. It's not the government doing this. It's the citizens, and we're there to support, and I'm happy to talk about it. I love talking about that stuff, obviously, and encouraging, and my goal is to continue to work. I've made some good connections with MSTC, and we're going to continue with the schools and developing that entrepreneurial mindset of people to really take the risks and figure out what it takes to make the business a reality and keep moving forward.
Again, always appreciate the time, Mayor. Thank you so much. I do want to wrap up mentioning just two quick notes that the city is hiring additional lifeguards for the Witter Park Aquatic Center. Remind everybody about that, and you can apply and find out more at wirapids.org. And keep in mind, this Friday, June 21st, is Poppy Day here in Wisconsin Rapids. I read the declaration you sent out. It was very nicely worded. The red poppy is a recognized national symbol of sacrifice worn by Americans since World War I. It's a great day to honor that and be able to highlight that and learn more about it for those that don't know. Always appreciate the time, sir. Thanks so much for joining us. If people have follow-up questions, how can they get a hold of you?
Again, I usually stick with my number because it's what's in my head, 715-321-0727. Give me a call anytime.
I appreciate you, man. We'll talk again real soon.
Thanks, James. Have a good day.
And a big thank you to our friends over at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, doing great work over there. Be sure to subscribe and like what they're doing. We'll have more Midday Magazine coming up for you right here at WFHR, locally grown radio.